Good afternoon. It's July 8th and we're going to look over some of these Espalier trees I've been tying down. This one here is Codam Blanca Negra, and the big monstrosity over here to the left of you is a yellow longneck that's, as you can see, is growing completely out of control, way over its limit. It'll get chopped back to give this tree some room to grow. You can see it's 3 foot past its 9-foot marker down there. I don't know if you can see the marker down there, but it's way past out of its bounds. So this tree's going to get trimmed back a lot this year. That'll give this tree here more room to grow. And it's been trained down good. It's hardening off. You can see it hasn't really, since I tied it down, it hasn't grown too much. It's kind of hardened off and put a few figs on, and that's really all it's going to do this season. So there's really not a whole lot left to do to this tree other than pick some figs. And if it don't get much taller than this, I probably won't even prune no cuttings off of it. I'll leave it just like this. I mean, it is starting to get a little more new growth on it here again. It's starting to retake off, but it won't grow too much. And if it does, well, this is about where we'll chop it back to. So we'll at least still have some apical buds. So maybe we'll get some earlier fruit out of it next year. Because this tree here, Codam Blanca Negra, typically in a pot, if you haven't pruned it, it puts on a fairly early crop. I wouldn't call it early, but it's an early mid-season crop. So here's the next tree we're going to look at. This is Cavaler. It has a lot of figs on it. I am very happy with the way it has grown this year. It hasn't grown out of its mind like some of these others. And I'm going to make another video about some differences in planting eventually. But it has grown well this year. I need to come back and it's ready. You can see it hasn't really needed any more training up there on that end because it's at the 9-foot spot. You can see. So it really, to me, it don't really need to grow anymore. This needs to be the end of it, and that other one needs to come on up here. And I'll prune it back to about here probably this year. That way it has some room to grow up and there's some room to get between them a little bit. This one here, as you can see, it's overdue to be tied back down. This super jumbo's grown here just a little past its line from before. But it's fine to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and do some more training on it. I'm going to tie it down to about right there, or it'll be okay, and then it'll start turning up. This probably should have been done 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I've just been busy. It's life on a farm. That should do it. And that'll just start turning up right there just like the other one did. And it shouldn't really block this out too much. This super jumbo, it don't really care. It just, as you can see, it just really, one thing it really likes to do is just grow a lot of fruit. Alright, we're going to turn around here and look at this one right here. This is Bass's favorite. It hasn't grown too much. It's starting to put on some new growth again. I believe it's got a little, maybe got a little bit of, thought maybe it was fig mosaic virus, but it's mostly mites. I need to treat it. It did get treated with neem oil a few weeks ago, but I need to get over here and get some sulfur on it. But it's kind of just, as you can see, it's kind of just growed and hardened off and put some fruit on and kind of took a break. So it really hasn't needed a whole lot. But now this next one, this is Negra Diagne we're going to look at. It's definitely could use a little bit of attention. I don't see no reason. As you can see, I've come back and I tied it down one more time already because there's some green tape where I tied it down since the last video. I used the red in the original video, but you can see this one here I had used some more green, and I didn't really feel like it needed to go any further because there's my 9-foot marker. So I think that's good, and if my Bass's Favorite gets over there where it's that close to the marker, that's kind of where we want to get it. That way it's got a little room and some light. Now down here on the other end, it's a little overdue for a tying down. But as you can see, the Minskarinska 10's growing way out here out of its mind with fruit. So, I mean, you could go ahead and lay that down, but I'm not going to. I'm going to wait and just trim this off and regrow this next year when I've got this trimmed back further. That way it's not interfering. And you can see I did come back and had done one more tie down on it since we originally done the first video of this, just to kind of help bring it out this way. But I want to leave enough light in here now, and then next year when this bud buds out, we'll train it over here and bring it out this way. And I'll take this thing here and cut it back here and save some of these other branches. I'll probably cut this thing all the way back to here and then keep this branch right here as its replacement to kind of come up like that right there for next year. So it's just things you got to look at, because these things, as you can see, looking around in here, this is like I said, this is the 8th of July, and look how big some of these trees have gotten in here. I mean, it's like, this greenhouse is 12 foot tall. So these trees are already every bit of 10 foot tall. So they grow like crazy. And one more thing I'll say is, these trees were, even though these other trees are in the original holes where other trees were planted, when this greenhouse was originally planted, and these trees that are great big, I dug a big hole, a big square hole that was 24 inches by 24 inches. And I put all kinds of goodies inside of there, bone meal and kelp meal, and it's kind of like there's some kind of, I don't know if it's called the roost out method of planting trees, fruit trees, or there's some kind of deal out there. If you look it up on the internet, you'll find somebody talking about it. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember, but I kind of done it that way and put a bunch of different stuff down in the hole and ruffled the roots good, and they just growed out. The ones I've done like that have just growed out of their mind, and they were all rejuvenate pruning after the first season. So this is the way they'll grow. Now these other trees, like this one here, while there was a fig tree there that I dug up, when I stuck this tree back in the ground, I sprayed a little water on it and stuck it in the ground, and the hole was just a little bit bigger than what I put in the ground. So it's kind of, it like restricts them. Lou Monte always says, you know, keep your fig tree small and restrict its roots so it'll fruit. You want to grow fruit, not bush. So as you can see, it's kind of demonstrating itself in here, because I've planted these a little different from before to when these was planted. They're kind of differently planted. So even though it's on top of that old original hole that was put in there, that had already had a year to settle and harden up, so it didn't have all the free range access to all of that extra that those other trees had. So, you know, when you do go to plant your fig tree, it's something you want to consider, and I'll talk more about it later on as we do some more plantings. So there is the update on the Japanese Espalier low cordon fig trees. If there's anything you want to ask or that I didn't cover, please feel free to leave a comment down below and ask. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. It helps the channel out. Thanks for watching.